I could go on and on. Try to picture, as many three-family houses as possible with 6 tenements, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second, and 2 on the third. And figure the amount of kids and people living in those tenement houses. Then take Farnham Courts, the projects, which was even 3 stories there. And all of a sudden, a group of people were lost. I mean, really lost. You walked around the streets and you remembered what was here and there, but it wasn't here. And you remember when you always saw, Sparky or Mike or Richie on the corner. Where were they now? You never saw them there anymore. And Jocelyn Square, which was a beehive of activity, there was nothing going on anymore. I'd like to say a couple of things about St. Patrick's Church. We're standing on the spot where the steeple was of St. Patrick's Church. It ran alongside Wallace Street and it faced Grand Avenue. It was the only church that I know of in the diocese that had balconies. It was a great thing on a Sunday morning to see so many people coming from all over, other towns and other places, and all of us in the neighborhood, no matter what your nationality was, no color of your skin, everybody came to St. Patrick's. The Christmas Eve Mass at 12 o'clock, people would literally be standing on the street, along the street, in the lobby, and participating because it meant so much to our neighborhood. The center of it was St. Patrick's Church. During the month of October, which was the month of Mary, every night at 7 o'clock, wherever you were, you would hear a loud video here playing. And it was the song of our Blessed Mother, Lady of Fatima. And we would fill the street here, Grand Avenue. Father would be there kneeling down with some of the altar boys, and the rest of the people would come and say the rosary every night. Cars passed, trucks passed, everybody nodded their cap and made a sign of the cross. But it was the first love of our life. That's what that was the center of our lives.
None of the younger people ever got in any trouble over here because Father Joe used to make sure that they didn't get in any trouble.
It was a great church, again with the balconies. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And of course, we were all family. This was our whole life, St. Patrick's and Hamilton School. And of course, I'm sorry they took it all away unnecessarily, but we had a great time here. There was also a lot of little mystery here sometimes. We used to go downstairs into the basement and we'd walk around, and there was rumors that people were in fact buried down there. So we were pretty young, and we used to get a little scared about it. We're on Wallace Street where the church was, and we're down the street. We're standing in front of a landmark on Wallace and Grand, which was the Lillian's Paradise, which was a nightclub. Every Saturday night it was music from 7 or 8 until like 1 p.m. There was dinner dancing. Of course, there was a lot of traffic here. As a matter of fact, we had a movie star come here, and she sang a couple of songs, and her name was Dorothy Dandridge. It kind of brought the street to life for a few years. Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, because we did everything out here. We had the side street right here, which was King Street. That was our field of play. We did everything there, from cotton ball to piggy to playing marbles, buck. I used to build what they call skate boxes. I don't know how many people know what that is today. I used to put them together with a 2x4, an orange crate box, and a pair of skates. We'd take a skate, we'd disassemble it into 2 parts and put it on the 2x, and we used to skateboard and skatebox back and forth up to East Street and back. We did many things on this corner.
You could put somebody in the box and take them for a ride.
You could take them for a ride, that's right,
yeah,
too.
Exactly.
And my favorite thing over here is a fire hydrant, which as a little young man of 5 or 6 years old, I used to jump over it, and I thought that was a big thing then. Now all I can do is look at it, but there's a lot of memories. I'm here where I lived for over 30 years. going back almost 70 years. It's a wonderful place. God bless it. This is the only thing left in the neighborhood. And there's a lot of memories there because I worked there as a young man for a shirt company. I used to deliver shirts from this building 2 blocks down Wallace Street to the Candy Building.
Hi, I'm back again. We're standing on Wallace Street, and behind me is the New Haven Clock and Watch Company. And in our neighborhood, it was the largest employer. And so many of our parents and neighbors worked here. Well, I can still remember at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I must have been 8 or 9 years old, and I used to get a kick out of it. I could still see the men coming off the 7 to 3 shift. And they'd be walking from the clock shop down Hamilton Street, and they'd have their lunch pails with them in one hand, and they'd be on their way home. They'd stop at the Patsy's Clam Wagon right on the corner of Hamilton and Grand. They'd have a half a dozen or a dozen clams on a half shell. They'd talk a little bit, I'd listen to that. Then they'd go across the street to Rosie's Candy Store. Is that the gentleman that started it, started on St. John Street, and that's where he initially started. And it grew into be the largest clock and watch company, not only in the United States of America, but in the world. In the early 1900s, Walter Camp, the famous Walter Camp from Yale University, he took over as the CEO. And he was responsible for inventing the wristwatch. And that was new. During World War II, the military in our bombers, our fighter bombers, our bombs were missing targets by a lot in Europe. And they had to find something, what was wrong. And they found out that what was wrong, why they were missing it, and they came to the clock shop. And the clock shop put on a switch on the lever that held the bomb, and that lever now made the accuracy of the bombs so much greater. You visit any town, East Haven, Madison, wherever you go, someone's father or someone's grandfather worked here, and they have a story to tell. So that's my recollection of the clock shop, and this is really the biggest monument that's left of our neighborhood right now. I think we're looking now what would have been Hamilton Street School. This would have been the main building, probably from where my shoulder is to about maybe 100 feet over. That was the main building, and by the main building, I mean that was the principal's office, and it was, for us, it was Sister Edmund. Most of the teachers were nuns. They were Sisters of Mercy, and sometimes we always felt they were the Sisters of No Mercy because they really, really worked us. They expected a lot from us, and they were our whole. They were the whole school. The school here involved so many parents because there were so many activities that drew parents here. Today we call them PTAs. It was common for parents to be here for PTAs, for rallies, for graduations, for athletic events, and we felt like it was our home. It was a big school. At one time during its peak, it had 1,700 students. And at that time, it was the second largest school enrollment-wise in the city of New Haven. The only school that was bigger with more students was Hill House High School. And so it was only a grammar school. I think the thing I remember most of all about Hamilton Street School were the nuns, like I said, and the continuation of friendships. Honest, because those friendships are still around today like ours. Friends for 40, 50, 60, 70 years that went to grammar school together, walked to school, and then finished school, hung around the neighborhood, played in the neighborhood.
Everybody had a nickname around here. If they call you by your right name, you didn't turn around because they never called you by your right name. It was always Sparky, Fazul, this and that. But this was a great neighborhood. I
think that what Sparky's saying very, very clearly is that in this neighborhood, everybody took care of each other. Honest to God. Today, we call them block watches. In our days, everybody was watching out for the kids. Everybody, constantly. You never had to worry about some of the things of today. Our neighborhood came to an end when redevelopment started. What they did to our neighborhood was really and truly was dismantle it. They actually dismantled it. All houses, all businesses came down. My house, I lived in a 6 tenement house on the 3rd floor. My house was the first house that got knocked down by the cement ball that comes around, knocking it down. I felt really sick at the time. I didn't know why they were doing that. Why would they do that? And we had to move our family to the hill section. And for a while, I never felt the same. I would still come to mass here, and other people in our neighborhood were doing the same things. Their houses were getting knocked down. I'm hoping I'm giving you some perspective of what this neighborhood was like. It was truly one big happy family. I'm not going to, make it out to be that's something greater than that, but people really cared for each other with nothing, not expecting anything in return, nothing. And that's special because today I don't see that a lot. And you could go down any one of these streets, Wallace Street, Hamilton Street, Franklin Street, Walnut Street. You could go any one of those streets, you always see at least 50 to 100 kids playing on every street. That came to an end once these things got going down. Everybody had to move into other neighborhoods and had to start all over again. You knew no one from the school, no one in the churches, and it became difficult. I think what we're saying is we love what we had. We really do. And we wish that the kids today somehow, some way could get a feel for what we had. I think a lot of the problems that they're experiencing would be eliminated, honest to God. Thank you.